Hello, in this video, we are going to go over request record functionality. Request record transaction allows companies to establish contracts with new and existing vendors. With this information, users will be able to identify which vendor will best meet their organization's requirements and get a better understanding of what each vendor will be able to provide regarding pricing and quantity. To create a new request for record, navigate to Transactions, Purchases, enter Request for Quote. This gives the list of all requested records available in the account. To create a new request record, click on New. By clicking on New, you'll be able to view Request for Record page. Alternatively, a new request record can also be created by using Make a Copy button on the existing RFQ. Employee will be defaulted to the logged in user. RFQ open date will be defaulted to the current date, and these details can also be changed if required. Select the open date and close date for the RFQ. Memo can be used to share any information with vendors. Classification details will be auto-populated based on the selected employee. Tiers or fixed quantity can be used to select either tiers or fixed quantity for an RFQ. If the tiers option is selected, then the entered quantities will be treated as tiers and it starts with the quantity 0, whereas fixed quantity refers to individual quantities. In the items list, add the required items, enter in the number of tiers, click on additional pricing, and enter in the quantity values. We can also enter a memo to each if required. Click on Submit once the details are entered. User can add any number of items in the items list. After entering the items, we need to select the vendor to the Vendor tab. Select the vendor, contact of the vendor that the email needs to be sent, and click on Add. Here, we can add any number of vendors and their contacts to send the RFQ. Once the required items and vendor details are entered, click on Save to save the RFQ. Once we click on Save, Submit pop-up will be displayed. It has two options, Save Progress and Final Submission. If the user clicks on Save Progress, it will save the record but will not send any emails to vendors regarding the RFQ. Changes can be made to the RFQ on Save Progress mode. If the user clicks on Final Submission button, it will send out emails to the vendor, and user will not be able to add new vendors or pick up any other details on the RFQ record. After, on the final submission, another pop-up will appear which asks if the user would like to continue with the final submission. If yes, click OK. If no, click Cancel. After the final submission, the email will be sent to vendor's contact. The content depends on the email template chosen. The email template has a URL to the vendor portal login page along with the username and password. From the menu bar, we can navigate to the request for quote. Here, we are seeing request for quote 2. This means that there are 2 new requests which are not yet viewed by this vendor. We can click on the required RFQ to view the details. Primary information section contains up-to-date information about the request record, like request for quote ID, point of contact, open date, and close date. Item list shows the list of items for which the code is requested. Material and finish coding columns can be used by the vendor to add what materials and finish coding used for that item. Vendors can enter the pricing under the pricing column by clicking on the plus icon. Here, users can enter pricing for each tier or each quantity displayed here. We can see that the other column updates the details automatically based on what we enter in the price. Enter the lead time in weeks. Memo is available if required. If the details need to be reset, click on the Reset button. Otherwise, click on the Submit button to submit the pricing details. We can see the color of the pricing button changes from red to green once we save the pricing details. Attachment section can be used to attach the files for the record. Selecting an item while uploading the file is optional. Payment terms can be changed if required. Vendor can enter any notes in the Notes section. There are only 2 options, save and submit. If the vendor wants to save the information entered so far, the save button can be used. If the vendor submits the record, it will be a final submission and the RFQ record cannot be edited and the save and submit button will be removed. After clicking on the Submit button, it will display a pop-up and the email will be sent to the RFQ record creator, and the status of the RFQ will also be changed to Submitted. Once the vendor submits a response to the RFQ, the Responses tab on the record displays a list of the reviewed responses. The View File button can be used to view the files uploaded by the vendor. If there are no file uploaded, then the View Files button cannot be seen. Compare vendor buttons can be used to compare information entered by different vendors. The averaged rate will be the average of all pricing information entered by that vendor for that item. Here you can view the updated information for all quantities given by the vendors in the portal. If the vendors have any notes, they can be viewed by hovering over the notes and it will show if notes are entered. The file column is used to view the files uploaded by the vendor. Click on View to view the file. Edit the request for record to award the quote to a vendor. Award means finalizing the vendor that the item will be purchased from. Vendors with the lowest average rate will be auto-selected in the vendor column. This can be changed manually to any vendor for the list, and the rate will be changed to the date entered by the selected vendor. To award or finalize a vendor for any item, click the Award checkbox and click on Save. Once at least one item is awarded, then a Customer Quote button will be seen on the RFQ record. Clicking on the Customer Quote button opens the pop-up where awarded items, quantities, rates, and the amount are displayed. There are also options to select a customer and add markup. Select All by clicking the check boxes or the Mark All button. Select a customer and click on Submit to create a quote record. If the customer confirms that they are going to purchase the item quantities, then a sales order can be created by clicking the Sales Order button. If there are any modifications to be made on the sales order record, like removing the quantity or item, user can add any items to the sales order if required. We can click on Save to save the sale. Once the record sales is created, a Create PO button will be displayed on the sales order. This PO button can be used to create a purchase order from the sales order record. Purchase order record creation is automatic. Clicking on the Create PO button created a purchase order with all items and quantities available on the sales order, and the vendor will be selected based on the vendor awarded for that item on the RFQ. If the sales order had items related to multiple vendors, then multiple purchase orders will be created. This is the list of purchase orders created from this sales order. We can click on View to view the record. This is how to use RFQ to get the quotes from the vendors and create sales orders, customer quotes, and purchase orders automatically.